Eurogold is driven by being the best civil engineering contractor in the Northwest, ensuring its clients are given the highest level of service that they deserve. Eurogold work in a wide range of industry sectors, including house building, highways, commercial and industrial build.
Lolla Vita is an award-winning, independently run Italian restaurant. Located on Rose Lane in the heart of Liverpool, real Italian-style dishes using the best skillfully prepared by our chefs. Come and try our serious Italian experience.
Supreme Upholstery Limited is a manufacturer of quality bespoke upholstered furniture. Come along with your ideas for that perfect sofa to fit your home and let Supreme bring your ideas to fruition. We also offer a service to the contract market, including large hotel groups and small family-run business. No matter how large or how small your order, you will always get that personal service from our sales team. Come along and visit our showroom.
Hello and welcome to the show. This week we'll be meeting Nick Feary, who is a storyteller from County Westmeath, and he lives in Hitching in Bedfordshire. But first up, we're going to tell you a story about the 1,000 people who used to work for Debenhams stores in Ireland. Over 12 months ago, Debenhams closed their stores. The workers was left with no notice, no redundancy and no future employment. This led them to picket the Debenhams stores to fight for their rights. They've been on the picket line in all sorts of weather, hail, rain and snow. We're going to begin the story with Amy Howrican from Tralee in County Kerry, who has worked for Debenhams for about 13 years, and she's been on the picket line for over 367 days.
I started with Debenhams in 2007. So I was just shy of 13 years when we closed last year.
And I believe your mum worked there as well.
She did. She would have started in 2001 when Debenhams came to Tralee first. So she would have helped with the setup initially, and she was there for many years. She eventually would have moved on to become a concession manager, but still within the same store, and she only left 2 years previously.
Okay. Now tell me, what happened last February?
I suppose last February was very different than where we are now. The country was still quite normal and we hadn't quite hit pandemic yet. Myself and my partner had just gotten the keys to our new house, so we had just purchased our first home. And then I suppose things took a very drastic turn. The 23rd of March would have seen the stores closing temporarily to coincide with the COVID. And then by April 9th, we would have got the news that Debenhams Ireland had gone into liquidation.
Now, what happened after that? Because I know that you got very little notice. Tell me about the sequence of events after that, Amy.
I suppose the day itself, I was in the new house with my mum painting, trying to get it ready for moving in. I would have got a phone call from my store manager to say, check your emails. That the Irish leg of the company had gone into liquidation and that we would cease trading. With that, I checked my emails and my phone started ringing off the hop completely, with numerous colleagues having received the same email, basically saying that Debenhams Ireland would no longer be trading. I suppose fast forward then to the 16th of April, which was when KPMG became appointed liquidators through the High Court. We would have started to receive a little bit more information from them, but again, it was very slow in coming. And they used the pandemic as like a blindfold for that as well.
So over this period of time, you've not had any money off them. You've just had no redundancy. Just kind of tell us where you are with all that.
So I suppose we were lucky in a sense. We had been placed on the pandemic unemployment payment, but that wasn't going to pay the bills long term. So short term, we weren't exactly up in arms, but it was the fear of the unknown, not having a job to return to. The whole world was faced with this pandemic, and then you have your job loss on top of it. So it was very much trying to come to terms with it. I suppose the first 2 to 3 weeks were us supporting one another, ringing colleagues, friends. Like a lot of us would have worked with each other for many, many years. So it was more of our own support network than anything else.
So then you started to picket. Now, I know that you've been on the picket line for something like 367 days or maybe even more now. But tell me about the picket and what's the idea about the picketing?
Yeah, we marked our 1 year anniversary on the 9th of April. The picketing kind of evolved. So, like I said, KPMG were appointed on the 16th of April. In that High Court, Ian Deegan, he would have been one of the directors for Ireland, had said in his affidavit that the Debenhams online business was a part of the Irish company. He said it on 2 separate occasions, and that it would continue to trade so that it would pay the creditors of the Irish company. Then fast forward to maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and the UK has taken ownership of Debenhams online. The company address, the registration number, all has changed into the UK business's name. Then KPMG value the stock at 1 million, which is grossly undervalued. The cosmetic stock alone at that point, I would have had sales reports for our region would have had 14.8 million, and that's just on one category of stock alone. So we knew that the figures were being manipulated. So as you learn different things like that, that's really when the protests started to kick in. So we would have had our first kind of event on the 16th of April, but as time went on, they became more frequent. And we would have had rallies at the stores as well, which eventually in midsummer, different things would lead us to picketing 24/7.
Well, listen, Amy, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. But we do wish you the very best of luck, and thank you for joining us on the show and telling us your story.
Thank you very much for having me, Martin.
How I got involved was I was writing a football article for an Irish publication here, and it was on, I suppose, the rights of footballers and how I was looking at a chap called Thomas Blackstock, who died on a football pitch playing for Manchester United, and also looking at and how the formation of the PFA union had come about in Manchester through his death, and also about Patrick O'Connell and how he had worked in Boland's Mills before he became a footballer in an era where, you know, workers lost arms and legs and children were used as scavengers. So I wanted to intertwine that with a modern day tale, and I got in contact with a lady called Suzanne Sherry, who was on the picket in Debenhams in Dublin, and she put me in touch with a woman called Linda Carroll. Linda had been then 5 months on the picket in Henry Street in Dublin. So I wanted to intertwine her story. She lived around the corner from Patrick O'Connell, where he was from, in Fitzroy Avenue near Croke Park. And then she started to explain to me what she was doing. I mean, she was getting up, she's 62 years of age. She was getting up every morning at 5:30 to go on this picket for 6 hours. She had worked in Debenhams for nearly 2 decades, and she was offered no redundancy. And I just thought, God, I couldn't believe what was happening, like, you know, because we're in the midst of a pandemic as well. So I went ahead and wrote this story, and it was published in Ireland and it was published in Spain. And I kept in touch with Linda and with Suzanne Sherry, and we got the idea. I sort of wanted to help them because, as you can imagine, with the whole COVID situation, it's very difficult to get any media about what was happening. So I managed to get in touch with a lady called Maxine Peake, who's a BAFTA award-winning actress from the Lancashire area, near Manchester. And she kindly sent a video, in solidarity to the workers. And she mentioned to me that she was involved with the working class movement library in Salford. And so I got in touch there with a lady called Lynette Cothroy, and explained the situation to her, what was happening. And we decided that we would send some items across. We sent a placard from the strike, some pamphlets, leaflets, and we also sent Suzanne's ID card. She had worked for 24 years in Debenhams, and a card from one of the women from Roche's Stores, because Debenhams took over from Roche's Stores in Ireland, which was 30 years old. So we sent that across, and that's now landed at the museum. And I suppose what I wanted to do, I went back to one of the ladies and basically said to them, look, is anybody actually documenting your stories? And they said no. So I decided to start work on an archival documentation project, basically taking 5 or 6 different stories from women and men that have been on the picket for the last year, just how this whole thing happened, and their backgrounds and what's gone on in the last year. I mean, the people in Manchester have been let go as well, and I suppose in the Northwest, the whole thing that people don't seem to realize is that, you're talking in Ireland, you're talking 1,000 workers across the country, and in England, the northwest of England, you're talking a similar amount between Manchester and Liverpool. Tony Easom, who's an artist from Salford, from Manchester, he kindly took time out to do some artwork. He did a painting of one of the women on the picket, which is going into the library next week.
Fergus, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for explaining all your involvement in it. And it's great to catch up with you again.
No problem, Martin. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Hello, my name's Maxine Peake, and I just want to send so much solidarity to all the ex-Debenhams workers who are currently on the picket line. You're amazing. I'm full of so much respect and admiration. I'm shocked at what's happening to you, and that, not that this time is difficult enough, isn't it, without what you're going through. So more power to your elbow. Keep up the struggle. Unity is strength. Take care.
These workers have been through a terrible time, what with losing their jobs and been in lockdown all year as well. We wish them the very best of luck in the future. Now we're going to take a little break there. When we return, we'll be telling you more about this story, and we'll be meeting Nick Feary, a great storyteller.
Eurogold is driven by being the best civil engineering contractor in the Northwest, ensuring its clients are given the highest level of service that they deserve. Eurogold work in a wide range of industry sectors, including house building, highways, commercial and industrial build.
Lola Vita is an award-winning, independently run Italian restaurant. Located on Rose Lane in the heart of Liverpool, real Italian-style dishes using the best skillfully prepared by our chefs. Come and try our serious Italian experience.
Supreme Upholstery Limited is a manufacturer of quality bespoke upholstered furniture. Come along with your ideas for that perfect sofa to fit your home, and let Supreme bring your ideas to fruition. We also offer a service to the contract market, including large hotel groups and small family-run business. no matter how large or how small your order, you will always get that personal service from our sales team. Come along and visit our showroom.
Welcome back. This week we've been telling you about the 1,000 workers who used to work for Debenham Stores in Ireland. Now we're going to meet Tony Easom, who is an artist from Salford in Manchester, and we'll also be visiting the Working Class Movement Library. And we'll be meeting Nick Feary, who is a great storyteller.
There was a photograph sent to me by Fergus Dowd in Dublin. And he also asked me a long time ago as well to help the ladies. It's about the leaders on the picket line at Debenhams, to do some busking for them, because I do little shows as well. So I did that for them to try and cheer them up. I hope my singing cheered them up. And then they sent me this photograph of one of the young ladies, Helen her name is, and she's in Kildare, and she stood there in front of one of the lorries that are trying to take the goods out of the store. And it was like Tiananmen Square. She stood there, this little frail lady with a plaque in front of her, and this huge lorry. It did not pass, you know. And they said, Fergus asked me, can I do a painting of it? And so I did, and that's the painting you've seen that I've handed to Lynette. These ladies, they're not on strike because they haven't got a job no more. They've been laid off, and they're on a picket line, and all they want is the basic severance pay, which they're entitled to. Debenhams aren't paying them. It's not just Debenhams all in Kildare, it's Dublin, everywhere. I think it's mainly in Ireland where they're taking a stand. And all they want is their basic severance pay, which apparently Debenhams have said, we're not going to pay you. And it takes me back to a story. I like folk music and folk songs. And there's an old folk song. It was the miners. We've gone on strike for 10%. We're not downhearted yet. We've gone on strike for 10%, and 10% we'll get. They didn't want 10% increase. The mine owners had said, you're going to take a decrease in wages. And they wanted to take the wages right down. And they said, no, we're going to fight. We want 10% cut. We'll accept that. So ironically, they went on strike for a 10% cut. And basically, that's all they're asking for. Some of them they've worked for them for 30 odd years.
Lynette, tell me a little bit about the Working Class Movement Library.
The library is a very special place. It's situated in Salford now. It was originally in the house of our founders, Eddie and Ruth Frau, in a semi-detached house in Old Trafford. We moved here to this magnificent building in 1987 because the collection got too big for their house. They were passionate about working people, learning about their history and reading and acting on that history. So we've always been open to everybody to come and use. Originally, people could come to the house. Now people can come to the library here. We're a charity and we're open to everybody. The sort of material you'll find here is about working people's campaigns over the years from the late 1700s up to the present day. We were very lucky to have some big donations of magnificent volumes of Irish history, which are upstairs here and which people are very welcome to come to our reading room and read.
Now, we know that this strike is going on in Ireland, but there's over 1,000 ladies involved in the strike in Ireland. And I believe that you've received some photographs and some information and history from them.
We have, and we're really grateful to them for sending that across. It is great to have examples of present-day campaigning. It's obviously a big struggle that they've been going through, and all power to them. It's very much in the tradition and in the history of the collections here. So it's very important that we have collections arrive for us today. So if people do want to donate to us about the campaigns that they're going through, struggles about pay with their employers, women's equal rights, we're very pleased to have them here.
And of course we saw Tony Easom come along this morning, a well-known Salford lad, and present you with this lovely painting of one of the ladies that's out on the strike.
Yeah, that's really nice of him. We are a library, so we are full of books and pamphlets, but we do also get donations such as paintings, and in fact We've got our first face covering in the collection from the Debenhams material that's come across. So we are very happy to accept things which relate to workers' struggles. So thanks very much, Daytona.
It has been a very difficult time for all those people who have lost their jobs, and we wish them the very best of luck in the future. Now we're going to meet Nick Feary, who is a storyteller from County Westmeath. Oh Jesus, hello Nick, great to see you.
Good to see you, thanks for coming down.
Oh, not at all, it's great to see you, boy.
When I was very young, Martin, I grew up in a large family of storytellers. It goes back to my great-grandfather, who was born in Kilbeggan in 1820, and the family name of Feary, the logo is the small people of gift, and most are great storytellers. So it was just in my blood, and I heard stories all my life from my father, my grandfather, my uncles, everything. You know, I grew up around storytelling.
And of course, storytelling back in the day was the entertainment in Ireland many years ago.
It was.
No television.
Exactly. And I tell you, it was even the way the old cottages were built. You know, they were designed for that kind of family home entertainment. You know, the big open fire, the big high ceilings, and the light. I don't know why they even bothered having a light, because it was about 16 feet up, and it was just a little 40-watt bulb. And we never used to turn it on, because come night time, especially in the winters, I'd be excited coming home from school, because you'd be wondering who'd be storytelling tonight, you know, and you'd be sat at the fire, and the light reflecting from the fire, you could see all the shadows on the wall. It was just an amazing way of entertainment, you know.
Absolutely. Well, tell me, what kind of stories would you tell?
A variety of stories, and most people think it was about ghost stories, but it wasn't. I didn't hear that many ghost stories. I heard a few, but it was mostly the old characters, very witty stories, and the things they used to do and the things they used to get up to. And I was enchanted by it. And we lived just 2 fields away from the old Tor House estate. And I think the people of that townsland were lucky, because he wasn't the worst landlord. Most of the other neighbouring landlords were military, ex-military. They weren't the nicest of landlords to be living under, but Pilkington, Charles Pilkington, I think he was of the Pilkington Glass people, and he was already a wealthy man when he came to Tor in 1690. So there wasn't that many evictions. I could tell from a young age by the stories that the people grew up reasonably happy and contented, you know. They had rose gardens and just lovely stories about everything, the land and the landlord and the tricks they used to get up to, especially upon each other.
And your stories have really caught on in latter years, haven't they? Because you've got quite a big following now on Facebook, and you write stories in different places. Tell me about that.
It came more of a surprise to me than anything, because when I was young in the national school, I loved to write. I used to even go into the pig shed at home and sit up on the bales of straw to write stories with my pencil and thing. I absolutely loved it, because I had a good imagination, you know. I kind of lost track of school, and that I got caught up in other things, fishing and hunting on the land. I preferred to be on the land, and I preferred to be around the older people at the time than I did studying at school. So I kind of stopped writing. I came back to England here and worked, and never really thought much about writing, but it was always in my heart and in my nature. It was just through my son suggesting it one night about 8 years ago. Dad, you know, you should write. And he opened me a Facebook account, and it started from there, you know. And as I explained to you earlier, my first friend request came about 2 hours later, and it happened to be a grandson of my next door neighbour, old Molly Kelly, who was a great inspiration to me. You know, she told me great stories when I was growing up.
Now, for people sitting at home tonight, how can they follow you and how can they read your stories? Where can they catch up with you?
Well, I have a Facebook page, A Boy from Tor. I also have another group called Irish Stories, Pictures and Poems. And I also have occasionally write a story in an online magazine, Dublin magazine called Cassandra Voices. And I was in an Irish geology magazine last January. Joe Grandinetti, and he's an Irish-Italian, and he wrote a lovely article about Irish storytelling, you know, because it's something now, I think the internet has kind of, you know, there's not much of it about, there's not many of us left, you know.
It's a dying art, isn't it?
It is, and I have a passion for it, you know, and it's basically it's the response of the people that followed me and the people that have helped me progress that keeps me, you know, writing more. I put a lot of work into it.
Well, look, keep up the good work, Nick, and we look forward to following your stories now and keeping in touch with you.
That's great, and thanks very much, Martin.
It was lovely to meet Nick, and he's a great storyteller, and you can follow Nick on Facebook. Now, that brings us to the end of the show for this week. Henry McGlade is back next Thursday evening at 7 o'clock with his show from County Mayo, and we're here as usual at 7:30 with the Irish in the UK. Until then, take good care.